Hey guys, I want to thank you for just tuning in again to our podcast, Ron and Hope, Unfiltered, Real, Raw, and Relevant. The life at the party's not here, but I brought some other life with me. And it's usually me and Hope, and you know she's the fun one in the group. Yeah. But I got it by myself today, so I invited some people that are very, very important to me. And this is kind of the core. There are some more people involved, but the core of Red Worship. And many of you know that Red, kind of short for redemption. We wanted to take... We just believe that we have a great worship culture in our church. We do, or we're trying to have a great worship culture. We're building it, and it takes the right people to build the right worship culture. And out of that has come Red Worship, a record label for those of you that may not know. And out of that has now become traveling dates, has now become, I hate to call them concerts, but worship experiences in other places, all the way across the nation in New York here just in the last week. And then out of that has become a few nominations, some of the first ones to win some awards. So if you stay with something and you keep grinding and building, God will take your faithfulness on this level, and He keeps moving you to new levels. And that's kind of what's happening. And then we're going to talk to you in a little while actually about a worship conference. Not a worship leaders conference, but we're going to have just an experience conference where we're believing God to do something generationally that maybe has never been done before. I want you guys to hang around. You say, I want to hear you and Hope make fun of each other. Okay? Well, you know, just hang on, because there are other things that we need to do besides hear me and Hope make fun of each other. But she'll be back with me next week on the next podcast. But this is real important to my heart. How you doing, guys? Y'all doing all right? Introduce yourself. Introduce yourself. Tell everybody where you're from. Start with you, Andrew. Start with you, Stuart.
Yes, sir. My name is Andrew. I'm one of the worship leaders, obviously, with Red. I get to call Redemption home.
You're originally from L.A., though, right?
Born and raised in the city of Los Angeles, California, yeah.
Now, totally opposite right here.
Right.
I know where he's from.
So I'm Terrence White. I'm from North Carolina. I've been with the ministry now, I think, about 15 years.
Yeah, we've been together a long time. He still ain't tired of me after all this time. And Terrence actually is the leader of the record label and the MD here at our West Coast campus. Go ahead. Elizabeth.
Oh, yes. My name's Elizabeth. My name's Lizzie, and I'm from Cottontown, Tennessee.
I was going to see if you were going to tell the truth or say Nashville.
I'm going to tell the truth. Right outside of Nashville.
She'll say Nashville. It depends on what setting she's in.
I knew you were going to call it out either way.
I'm from Possum Kingdom, South Carolina. I can't say nothing on Cottontown.
Come on,
I'm from Possum Kingdom. Anyway, tell them Trinity.
And then, yes, I'm Trinity, and I'm from the Sunshine State of Florida. I live in L.A.
Tampa area, right? Is that kind of where you're from? And now you're out here on the West Coast as well.
Yep.
And like I said, this is the core group of a more extensive group called Red Worship. You say, Pastor, why are you doing this today? You needing to fill time? No, that's not why I'm doing it. I am in a season in my life. I'm not an old man, and I'll fight you if you try to say I'm an old man. But I've been around a while, and there's some things I realized in my generation we didn't do well. And sometimes when we see things, kind of like even in our mom and dad, that they didn't do well, we go all the way the other way because we don't want to do that, you know. And I think there was a lot of power ministry, power experiences with God that my generation not only craved but pursued.
Yes, sir.
And I have a myriad of them. I sat last night, I took some of the guys out for sushi last night, 9 different people, and I just sat there and they just wanted to hear stories. And I just sat there and told them stuff that I'd seen God doing. There's some of them were crying, some of them were quiet. I mean, you know. And so that was a real part of our culture. But a lot of my guys, for whatever reason, didn't end well. And so your generation saw people not ending well and said, you know what? I don't want to end like that.
Right, yes, sir.
I don't want to end sick. I don't want to end divorce. I don't want to end with my kids hating me. I don't want to end in a scandal, you know, because for whatever reason, my generation, there was a lot of that happened to people that were leaders for a long time that everybody loved, and then that ended in some type of great disappointment. But if I can, I'm going to talk about the bad part. I'm owning my generation's sins.
I feel it.
The thing is, though, everything that was going on was not bad.
Right.
We agree.
The way their private lives were being managed may not have been healthy. But the things that were happening when God's people got together for that whole generation, I saw life-changing, amazing things that have made me who I am. And I'll try not to start crying. I start getting emotional on top of this. And I've had several talks with you guys about, you know, has something gotten lost
Yeah.
Because I see a new generation and the savviness off the charts.
Yeah.
The marketing strategies off the charts. Social media savviness off the charts. Production savviness off the charts.
Right.
But you can go to a service and leave it and nothing has changed.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know that that's a great experience.
Yeah.
Right.
You know? So I said there's got to be something that the two generations can come together and you bring something new that God wants to birth, but you can recapture something old that God never wanted you to lose.
Right.
Wow.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And that's what I endeavor to do. So we are going to talk about some of the things that's happening with y'all as far as the song releases and all that. Let you do a little promo to this audience. But what say you to kind of the generational thing? And are you seeing a resurgence in hunger in y'all's generation for not just great music and production, but I want to see God do something?
Absolutely.
Just talk.
Absolutely. I would say to that exact point, not to leak the album title so quickly, but I want to drop a little hint. There is just such a hunger for the legitimate presence of God. And that we're seeing amongst ourselves, or we're
believe
seeing
that.
amongst our, peer groups and whatever the case may be. Because I think the thing is like you said, our generation may have been able to see the things from before, but they see the things now. They see the marketing schemes. They see the kind of manipulation out in the, Salesforce and all these other different places.
Right, yeah.
And so you hear so many people in our generation saying, man, we just want what's real.
Yep.
We want to have
Because
something.
that other stuff can make it feel kind of greasy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And,
Exactly.
And like you said, I think now, and I think I speak for all of us when we say, to come in and nothing shift, it is a waste of time. We got families we're representing. We got
Absolutely.
jobs. We got these different things that
And
we
they
got
do
going
too.
on.
And they do
so
too.
do they.
Yeah.
So they want to come in and experience something like you said, where they leave and their heart posture is different. Their perspectives and their mindsets is changed. And I will say, with what we've seen over the last couple Sundays here at the church, we're seeing this congregation more hungry probably than ever before for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
In
they're-
an area where they said it would never
be
happen.
happening.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. It's where we're at.
Right.
Where we're at, they say it's just a bunch of atheists and God haters, and the fact is, we're seeing people freaking rushing stages,
Absolutely.
wanting the power of God.
Yes.
Yeah. So
So it's amazing to just to witness it.
Yeah.
You guys have anything?
Trinity, you're a church girl, and Lizzie is too. Well, all of you are. So
Yeah.
you said you, yeah.
I didn't grow up in church,
We
but
got-
I love the Lord,
We
y'all.
got church guys and a Catholic. So anyway, Trinity and Lizzie, what do y'all think?
I agree. I mean, I
Because
personally.
you're a church girl.
Yes, I
Yeah.
grew up in the church, and I grew up seeing all of that.
All that
the
stuff.
laying hands and the speaking in tongues and the, people falling out and getting out of wheelchairs and
Yeah.
things of that nature. But I think there also was a generation that maybe has missed some of it. Like even the younger ones, I don't know if they know what's actually available. So
Right, that's
while
good.
there is some hunger sometimes there's not. And I think it's our responsibility to let them know, hey, there's more.
I'm gonna have to
Yeah.
zip my lips on something you just said because
Oh,
I
boy.
want to lean in on that, but I want other people to have a chance to talk. What do you think, Lizzie?
No, I think she's right. I think it's hard to miss something that you've never
I
experienced.
want to talk about that.
And so I think so many people that are really our age, I feel like we had the luxury of growing up and experiencing
Right.
that stuff. So there's always, no matter how far you go from it, for us, there's always going to be that thing that's
Yes.
I want the
I want
real
that.
move of
Yes.
God
Yeah.
because I've experienced it. But I think a big mandate for us is trying to get people to experience it. So if they ever live without it, they will miss it.
They will
But
miss it.
so many people, they've just never
have
seen
no
it.
idea that it's there.
Never
Yeah.
felt it. They've heard songs about God, but they've never
Yes.
felt that move
Yes.
of God.
Can I tell you something before Terrence talks? Because Terrence has another perspective. Terrence is a little closer to my age than y'all are,
Yeah.
and
Believe it or not.
and raised in church. Daddy a pastor, but then you were also with Cheryl Brady, who held you accountable.
Yes, sir.
She held you accountable to the things of God. In other words, not just to get them there, but what do you do when it's there?
Right.
And I don't know that any of today's musicians
Right.
are really held to that standard.
Yeah.
And I want you to speak to that.
good.
But I blame a little bit on what your generation hasn't experienced, not on the worship. I blame it on the pastors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the fact is, you can't supersede the head.
Right.
Right.
You can only
Yeah,
go
that's true.
where the head wants it to go. And here's what I've done. I have preached in a lot of the new style millennial-led churches.
Yes, sir.
And I will get in the car, and this is This is the norm. This is not just occasionally, it's frequently.
Yes, sir.
I will get in the vehicle that they're picking me up in, and they will begin to tell me what they would really appreciate it if I wouldn't do.
Wow.
Wouldn't do?
Wouldn't do.
Like they don't want you to walk in.
And I get to the place like, okay, well, why did you invite me? You know what I am.
Hey, now.
You know what I am, and I'm not sure why I'm here because everything that you just asked me not to do is really the thing that I function in, and so I can't get up there and just talk. I can't get up there and do that. I'm not built that way. Right. If I got a few thousand people out there, I want to take them somewhere.
Yes,
Right. Yes, sir.
And so if the gatekeeper, the pastor or the church leader, whoever's in senior leadership, if they don't want that and want to take the people there, really everybody else is just held to a song service.
Yeah, exactly.
Y'all take care of the music.
Yeah.
It's not even looked at as a move at all.
Right.
Y'all do the music.
Right.
And that's where I want you to stay. Terrence, a little bit about a woman you were with who understood not just the presence of God, but a move and how she held you as a minstrel accountable to that.
Yeah. So we would often get called into Carpenter. My background is Baptist. So
Now, let me say something right there. White Baptists are quiet. Black Baptists shout.
Oh yeah, we shouted.
So you can go in a white Baptist church and hear a pin drop.
Yeah.
Right.
So when I went in my first black Baptist church, I was thinking out of that white Baptist concept. And I went in there and they peeled the paint off the walls that night.
Exactly.
So they were expressive.
Yeah, we
Okay.
were expressive totally, but it was predictable church though.
Right.
And it was one of which you knew, I knew when the pastor was going to tune up. In fact, coming to be connected with Cheryl Brady, me and as well as my best friend is now her son-in-law, we were used to checking out until the pastor tuned up. We knew how predictable service and what it would look
I've been in
like.
those.
And when they needed us to assist in that capacity. And so working with her, it was all about who can make the ascension? Only those that have clean hands and pure heart. So beyond your skill set.
And she would call y'all out.
Oh, we would get called out. I mean, in every aspect of our lives because it was about substance and depth. So it wasn't about, you're just this great musician that could assist with that because they could equally play just as well as us. And if it just needed to be that would be fine.
Yeah.
And so, we would get called out like, you guys missed a moment today, in service because you were functioning in the capacity of a musician rather than a minstrel, which means that it probably translates to your lifestyle and what you did during the course of the week or what's going on.
Terrence, that's strong.
Yeah, it really
strong.
is.
That's
Yeah.
strong.
And it grew us up. I also had assistance from a guy from Bakersville. We talked about that earlier.
Yeah.
It's the late Elder Vernon Chappell.
Oh, yeah.
He worked with Kim Clement. And he was until that movement. And we learned, because he was the worship pastor at the time. And we would learn from him how to flow and steward moments. And it really became more what I did outside of sitting down to those 88s. And to embrace a lifestyle.
Yeah.
Something else that you mentioned that I think growing up as a PK and having a lot of church experience, I think that there were these leaders in the middle of I'm kind of sandwiched in the age of some of these guys that are pastors that I think they were raised and in a religious environment where the methods of doing it became desensitized with religious behavior.
Yeah.
Like, I know how to respond. I know when to do it.
Predictable religious behavior.
Yeah. And so they wanted to go far left from that. Then they went into now what has become religious behavior modernly, which is formulating church and metrics.
Yep.
And there's no move of God that's happening anymore. It's like, how many numbers? What do you do? How do you course the service to function? Like they're even telling you, this is what you preach. This is how you behave with my sheep so that it's a predictable result that's safe for them. Yeah. That's totally irrelevant to the move of God. I appreciate you because you have time and time again have went past that paradigm to bust and be authentic to what God has inside of you. That's what this is birthed. This is what Red comes from.
Yes.
And because I've traveled with you for years, I don't want to take the conversation. But you know what you would get called, the ones who were really bringing you in for Pastor Ron, The popular message is the sound and how it proceeds. I'm not going to preach her message, but
Good, because I'm going to preach it at our conference coming
yeah,
up.
but that's the birthing
Teaser.
of red worship. It's the sound.
Everything follows the sound.
It follows the sound.
You hear what he said. I want to ask you two, because y'all probably out of the group, if we're just honest, are the most traveled. Y'all travel. Y'all move. Y'all are mobile. He said now, modern predictable. Is that changing? I mean, be honest. We don't want to. We're not trying to bash people, throw them on. But I mean, y'all are out there right now, probably touching that generation musically more than anybody else with some of the stages God put you on.
Yes,
Is it changing or is it staying like that?
I feel like I never know what I'm walking into. I feel like it's far and few that you find the places where you feel completely free to be who you are.
Wow.
And I do think, like, unfortunately, a lot of the times when there's a mic in my hand, I'm often wondering, can I speak in tongues in the mic right
Can I?
here?
That way, yeah.
Can I prophesy in the mic at this place?
You're wondering what your lines are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that happens a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, that ain't freedom.
Yeah.
That don't allow you to turn loose.
Right.
When you're wondering, where's my line? Is that the same with you?
It is. Yeah, it's the same. I mean, like you said, it starts at the top. So I usually take my cue from what leadership is doing. If the pastor is all the way in when we're in worship, then I'm like,
going in.
all right, we going, yeah.
Right.
But if not, I know that, all right, keep it, to a
You
minimum.
understand protocol, and that's you should do that.
Yes.
When I go in somebody else's field, I understand. Okay, what do you need? What do you need? What's my assignment? What do you need me to do? And I stay with that. I never try to violate what anybody's trying to do. But I have such a hunger because I know how transformative. Like I said, my kids. I tell my kids a lot of times. I said, they were in our church and saw these things happen, but them personally, I said, you didn't have enough of these experiences like I had. Those experiences that I had so deep with God, times where I was in churches, and I remember one time Juanita Bynum was preaching, and we were at Rod Parsley's church, and Juanita Bynum was preaching. This is in the late 90s, 98, 99, and the intensity, the decibels, the prayer languages going up, and I looked around and couldn't find my. 1 minute she was standing there, I closed my eyes, I was praising, I opened up, and she ain't standing there, and I don't know where she is, and I looked down, and there's two shoes sticking out under the pews, and she has crawled up under the pews. Why? Because we were in a place where we were scared to stand.
Wow.
That's
You see what I'm talking about?
Yes, sir.
That's
The fear of God.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
I hear preachers and cuss words and stuff, and I'm like,
Yeah.
you ain't been where God pushed you down on the carpet and you couldn't get up, and you get up with such a fear of God in the room, and it's the hunger and passion of my heart now is, man, I want to turn around. I want everybody to know this. I'm looking for those few pastors that are saying, you know what, I'm kind of empty. There's got to be something more. And maybe they'll open the door a little bit.
Yes.
Right.
And I'm saying, I can help you with this. Let me get in there. Let me show you what God wants to do. Switching over a little bit, our music. Are we there or are we getting there?
Right.
I don't know. That's a pretty loaded question.
That is a loaded
loaded.
question. Because I think that has to be our goal.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't think our goal is right now, of course we want to be profitable. I mean, we don't want to lose money.
Of course.
But I don't think we got in it for riches or to get spins.
Yes.
I
Yes,
think
sir.
we felt like we've experienced something that maybe others have not had the opportunity to, and we wanted to bring a sound that may cause something to happen that don't normally happen.
Yes, sir.
And sometimes we don't have any bad music, but I do wonder sometimes, have we reached that?
Right.
What do you think?
I will say this. I have, the privilege of working with Terrence a lot on the post-production side of, as well as, with the team in writing and whatever the case may be. This is something I will say. After listening to this last record, there's an unquestionable DNA that is felt, that is experienced, that I do feel can lead somebody to what you're describing.
Do you feel like with our releases, it's building?
I definitely, it is building, because I mean, I was just listening to a couple of mixes yesterday, and I just put my headphones on and I put my phone down, and I was in the room when these songs were recorded, and I felt like almost my heart rate start to increase a little bit. I mean, I was just like, oh my gosh. And I'm being drawn not just back to the place where we recorded it, but into this spiritual realm. And it sounds almost spooky spiritual to say, but the truth is, a recorded record, a MP3 on Spotify can have that effect.
Yeah.
And I do think, and I will say, I appreciate Terrence for this, I appreciate you for this. You all demand that of us as songwriters, as worship leaders. And I think with Red, we know we are essentially a soundtrack to what is happening in this house.
Right.
And our goal and our heart is for that to take place. So I will say, I mean, I don't know if I will say like, we're there 100%. But I mean, after listening just yesterday to what's getting ready to come out.
It's moving in that direction.
It is moving in such a way that you can't deny God is all over this, you know?
Yeah.
And
I
it's an
think
honor
what
to be
I would
part.
like is let's say there's a guy saying, you know what, I've been doing this 20 years and, you know, everything's savvy, but man, I'm not feeling anything. And so let's say that he would look at a redemption service and said, I want to go there.
Yes.
Can he sing our music and go there?
Wow. I would say so. And in fact,
These are some big questions, I'm not going to lie.
yeah, you know, going back to what he's saying, I think that, you know, and I do wear a lot of hats.
You do.
You know, so I have to step from an executive standpoint of what is our return on investment here? You know,
Spiritual and natural. You have to
natural,
weigh it
you
out.
know, I'm
There's both.
producing it. I'm thinking about that in production. Sometimes I may say, hey, let's pull this back or what have you. I do think that the body of work that's coming out, Presence People, is one of which we were able to catch a genie in the box, so to speak.
Absolutely.
But from a leadership standpoint of always being led by the Spirit first, in the same manner that you are. You're sensitive. If you'll take those notes away like you did Sunday, whatever God is saying.
Yep.
You know, I look at something that ties back into our service that's tying into a release that actually comes out Friday. You guys not trying to promote.
No,
but
we're going to promote.
no.
We
So
want to know.
yeah, it's a song. So it's the cover. Show me your face going into Yahweh. We had no clue that this would happen, that it's now over 4 million on TikTok.
Yeah,
That was an organic Sunday morning worship
that just happened in a few days too, didn't it?
Yeah, you know, that was just a Sunday morning worship experience, and I came in.
Regular service.
Doing service. So as we're preparing to release the work that's coming out in March, you know, I came in two Thursdays ago and just like, hey guys, I'm watching this. My spirit is saying we may need to put this out
You
for
did.
people.
You
And
did.
I didn't know. I mean, it was what 1 million at the time.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not about
But see,
the
that's
metrics.
even getting out of the service. We're trying to let our business be led by the Spirit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
We need to back up on this. We need to go here. God's on this.
Yeah.
See, that's what I want.
Yeah. So that's I think we're finding, to what he's saying, and everybody, we're now finding a rhythm in the way that
Absolutely.
songs are being written. What really helped us, I think, was Red Nights. Our Red Nights
Absolutely.
of how we're able to just
Yes.
get
That's a good
capture in a room. I mean, it's set up in here in the middle of a room.
Yep.
People are surrounding us, and that's a very much comfortable environment as we are continuing to ascend and to find those sweet spots of what it looks like. Yeah. So to answer your question, this is something that we're all proud about. This is something that I think really represents the soundtrack and sound of redemption and Red,
Yes.
of what God is allowing us to release. Yeah.
And even on what you're talking about with Show Me Your Face, you know, it was written by Don Potter
Right.
Yeah.
decades ago.
Yeah.
So it points to even what you're describing, Pastor, about there was a seed planted, there was something experienced from before, and it makes its way. Shout out Lizzie, always trying to bring in them. She's always bringing in them songs, but they just do something. And again, I didn't grow up in church, so
Right.
the first time I'm hearing "Show Me Your Face," I'm thinking Lizzie wrote the song.
I wish.
And then I, you know, good old Google, and you start. Well, this song was written in this context by this man who's a
Right.
pillar in
Yeah.
worship.
You know what's
Exactly.
so
Go ahead.
funny is I started looking up the song after we decided we were going to release it, and Juanita Bynum released it.
Really?
Yeah.
See, there you
years
go.
ago.
Oh, wow.
I remember that. I had that. How long ago was that?
It was, I don't know, but it was a long time.
I think I had that on a cassette.
Is
Right,
it?
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was in the early
I think I had that on a cassette.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like No More Sheets era.
No More Sheets,
Yeah.
Yeah, I had that on a cassette.
Yeah.
I remember that now. You're
So
right.
I do think like we constantly find these like little moments
Yes.
where we're reflecting what a generation did before
Yeah.
and like
Absolutely.
giving it in a different way.
Breathing it to a new generation in a different
We're well
way.
on the way.
And
Yeah.
I remember that rehearsal because like we couldn't have manufactured what this
Oh,
thing
no.
is doing.
Yeah.
But that particular rehearsal, she came in and said, "I got this old song and I knew it. I remember when it was done back in the day." And for some reason, I just felt the need in the band rehearsals to create an intro and a counter line.
make
and,
it.
and then when they came out, she was like, "Oh, that was nice what you did." We had no clue, but it was almost done as if it was going to be a project.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just amazing.
And it happened
Just-
organically.
Yeah,
really
very
did.
organic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's a perfect worship service to you?
Perfect.
If you're invited to come and Lizzie's going to be our special guest to lead praise and worship, and you say y'all are both sitting there saying, "What are my lines? What are my?" If you don't have any lines, where are you taking it? This ain't scripted, guys. I'm just if they look like they've been put on the spot, I'm putting them on the spot.
I think for me, like, I feel like as a worship leader, you always know when you had to like push through and kind of use skill in
Yeah.
some ways versus when you know the Holy Spirit just came and
Yes.
the room was moved and you were moved. I feel like when I'm leading and I can just see that there's certain people crying, there's certain people dancing,
It's having an effect.
it's having an effect. I think that's when I walk off the stage and feel like I did what I was supposed to do.
I think sometimes when you guys feel like you said, there's nothing, that's not carnal, where I had to use my skill. God gave you that skill.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's the gift of God. I think what that is there's something in the Bible without getting too spiritual called the breaker anointing. And I think, you got people coming in rooms. I mean, you got divorces.
Yep.
Right.
You got traumas.
Yes,
You
sir.
got, I just got laid off. You got, my son just got diagnosed. I mean, you got all this stuff packing out rooms.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Somebody's got to break through that.
Come on.
Right. Yeah.
You got to break that. And that stuff y'all feel on the stage,
Yep.
you're probably breaking through for the people.
Yeah.
That's why it's called a worship leader.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not just a worshiper.
Come on.
It's a worship leader. And if you're not taking them with you, you're not effective.
Right.
The fact is, you got to prepare something that the congregation can enter in with. And this past Sunday, and we'll break this up because we want to talk further. We're going to do this in 2 episodes, guys. This past Sunday, Lizzie, you weren't leading here.
missed it.
You weren't here. Trinity was leading along with Andrew this week, and Terrence was the MD here. I shared a series of experiences that have been happening with me at 3 o'clock in the morning. I won't go into all that now. I don't have time to tell the story, but it happened 6 nights out of 7 at exactly 3 o'clock. The miracle of getting up at the exact same minute, 6 nights,
Crazy.
is nuts.
Yes.
That's not. There's no coincidence where you can come up with that. And then to be led by God to punch in Miles Monroe's name in my YouTube, and you know what? I've gone back about 6 times to see if that would happen again since that, and it ain't happened.
Didn't happen.
But that night I was up at 3 o'clock, and I didn't know why, and I punched it in, and a teaching from Miles Monroe come up, my mentor. If you're up at 3 a.m., this is what you need to do.
That's crazy.
Insane.
Yeah.
And I just said,
It
man,
is.
God's talking to me.
Yeah. Right.
God's talking to me. And basically talked about 3 o'clock being the 4th watch of the night and being the witching hour. And that sometimes the people of God are just ignorant at what is going on in darkness. And that darkness does not want any forceful advance of the kingdom. And that it is a real spiritual war that takes place. And then I go study San Francisco Bay Area has the highest concentration of witchcraft of any place in the nation. And I'm wondering why all these things are happening. And what I'm seeing is there is an advance and an acceleration and a surge about to come. And the fact is, darkness is real. Because if you take territory, somebody's giving up territory.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Exactly.
And so when they begin to hand out these curses, you have to cancel, you have to announce these curses. Well, I came up and I did this here in the second service. Sunday I didn't even preach in second service. I just went totally to that.
Yeah.
1,500 people,
Wow.
emptied out balconies.
Yep.
They ran.
And
Got
everything,
stuck
and
on
ran,
stairs.
and it stuck on stairs, couldn't get down
Couldn't
the
get down.
stairs,
Yeah. Yeah.
and lined up to the things back there, rushing
Yes.
Yeah.
an altar for the power of God that was being distributed in the building.
Absolutely.
Right.
Okay, all your worship songs then just go out the door.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
You now have two kingdoms in conflict,
Right.
and you got the people on the stage have got to manage
Yeah.
Yes.
that move.
That's right.
Those are the types of things I'm talking about that we're going to talk about in the transfer conference that we want to impart, because that was not a worship service. That went into chants.
And prophetic.
That went into straight prophetic.
Yeah.
Right.
The bands got to know how to go there.
Yes.
Song of
Yeah.
the
They
Lord.
have to know the progression. And one wrong sound can kill it.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
One
right.
wrong one.
Yeah.
You are right.
You can go minor when you're supposed to go major. You can go major when you're supposed to go minor. And
Yeah.
you kill the whole thing.
Exactly.
And so everything had to happen. And it was a moment where all of it came together and God showed out in power. I mean, in demonstration. I don't mean we felt his presence. I mean, people puking, getting delivered on the front rows, curses being broken, people from witchcraft crying out and tormented to be set free.
Yep.
Right.
And all these things are happening. And that's what nobody's teaching that.
Yeah.
I just want to say it. Nobody's teaching that. The people that are teaching that, most of them haven't heard of them. Or they're looked at as being fringe.
Wow.
But the fact is, I do believe in America that God is exposing some things and some demonic structures are being broken.
Absolutely.
And in this, the church is going to make a forceful advance.
Wow.
And we have to prepare for that.
Yeah.
How do you go to a rehearsal and prepare for that?
Yeah.
I don't know if you prepare for that. I think you just prepare yourself.
Yeah.
That's,
Does that make
that's
sense?
actually the best. I would say the best way to put it, because I don't think
Yeah.
a rehearsal prepares for that. I think you not overlooking that quiet time in the morning,
Yeah.
that you know,
Yeah.
that phone's put away, you know, your family's still asleep, and you're just going after the Lord.
You got to
know.
be tied in.
You got to be tied in.
Yes.
I have to give Trinity, you know, credit on that, because I feel like she has helped with our
She's the
crew.
red worship mother.
Yeah, she's
Yeah,
a red worship
she
mother.
is.
She's our prayer warrior.
Yeah,
Intercessor.
and has reminded us
Yeah.
that this is no small thing that we get to do, number one. And we are not void of the attack and the resistance that we face that you're describing, because like you said, when territory is taken,
Yeah.
somebody's giving
giving it
and
up.
they don't like
With a
that.
fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's such a fight, and I think
The
on
kingdom suffereth violence.
absolutely.
And the violent take it by force. And sometimes
Yes.
there needs to be a forceful advance that starts
Yeah.
with the Levites.
Right.
They start, send
Exactly.
Judah first.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
When you're going into battle, send Judah first.
Yes.
And so here's Judah.
Right.
Yeah.
God, and I look back at y'all and say, guys, take me in. Let's go.
Right. And
Yeah.
and there was a moment on Sunday, you remember this, he turned around and you looked at us, and it was almost like our general was giving an order.
Put your mic, put your mic to your mouth.
Put the
and
mic
sing.
to your
That's
mouth. And when you
Yeah.
move that arm up, I feel like me and Trinity looked at each other like,
Y'all
we're
were.
in.
Let me tell you what, y'all were. And I love our whole team now.
Of course.
I love our whole
Of
team.
course.
Y'all were.
Yeah.
But everybody else was kind of, the mic was here and they were worshiping. And I had to turn around because
Yep.
I didn't have what I needed behind me.
Yeah.
Right.
And I can't go out there by myself.
Yep.
And I did turn around, and I wasn't trying to be ugly, but in that moment, I ain't got time to discuss it.
Yeah.
And I
Yes,
said,
sir.
put your mic to your mouth.
But that
Yeah.
does, I feel like
And
that
sing.
did
And I-
something to
and I
us.
felt-
Yeah.
I mean, I just, I felt it
Right.
come.
sir.
You gave him
All
permission.
authority
And
in
yeah, I
that.
felt it come. And then all of a sudden, I felt the authority to go out there. Okay, I'm going to take this devil on.
Yeah.
Because they got my back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
The sound is there. The worship is there. Everything is there. They got my back.
Yep.
And those are the synergy of all of it coming together. It's hard to build. Hey, I've been here 7 years.
Yeah.
And I just now feel like we're kind of, okay,
Right.
we've about
Yeah.
got this thing.
Right.
We've about got it. It
Yeah.
just takes time. So I don't want to frustrate everybody.
Yeah.
But anyway, I got to wind this one up because we got some people that are helping us out in this, and we got some time constraints. I want to go back into part 2, talk about the releases of the new songs, and then talk about this idea we've got to bring 2 generations together.
Yeah.
Can we do that?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
I love you guys. I really do. I appreciate it. I need you to talk to somebody and tell them you got to go watch this thing because of stuff they're talking about. If you got kids, loved ones, or even if you got people within your church, within this age group, and they are leading and they're trying to lead a move of God anywhere, they need to hear these conversations.
Yes.
These are real conversations.
Absolutely.
And so I want you to know, We're believing God is doing something, and we believe it takes a special sound and a special people to bring it about. We invite you into the discussion. So I want you to go back and watch part 2 of this as we just take it a little bit further. And until next time, it's Ron and Hope, real, raw, and relevant. We'll see you later.